Welcome back once again, everybody, to Jack's Tech Corner. This is Photography Weekly, episode number 23. Now, it wouldn't be right, and I was trying to figure out a proper way to do this, but it wouldn't be right if we didn't, at this point, have maybe a moment of silence for the 10-year anniversary of, well, it's September 11th, or 9/11, as it's better known. So we take a moment of silence, and then we'll get on with the show. Okay, so in this particular show, we are going to start off with these topics, and then we'll have the after show chat there just to see if there's any other questions, just like we did last week. But this week we're going to show you, or I'm going to show you, one piece of gear that you're going to need for location portrait work. So if you're going out and you're shooting, anything major, if you're getting paid for a gig, I'm going to show you something that you're going to need to have that's going to make your life a lot easier and a lot better. Next, we're going to talk about batch processes and why or when would it be a good idea to batch process your pictures. And then a lot of people have been asking, I get a ton of emails all the time, so we are now going to look into HDR, or High Dynamic Range Photography. What is that, and how do we do it, and can anybody do it? Those topics and more coming up here on Photography Weekly, episode number 23. Okay, so why do we need this piece of equipment? What's it for? First, it might be better off to roll back just a little bit, because I know a lot of you are thinking today, boy, Jack looks in relatively good shape for shooting a wedding yesterday for roughly 7 hours. And actually, my stepdaughter was actually shooting with me yesterday, and she even said afterwards, now she's much younger than I am, naturally, I think she's 19 now. But she actually said, she said, my back is killing me. And at my age, I tell you what, it takes its toll. I don't know how to tell you to get ready for a wedding, but the one thing that she said, she goes, wedding photography is not as cut out and easy as most people think. Most people think you go to a wedding, you snap some pictures, and you get paid. And she said that's not true at all. The truth is, you go to the wedding. We got there 2 hours before any of the guests arrived. We unpacked the car, got all the gear out, and just so you know from my Facebook post, we did not use the green screen. The green screen wasn't even used. It stayed in the car. We didn't even have any time to think about that. So we got the gear out, we got the camera set up, and we went out and we started shooting pictures. Luckily this wedding was all self-contained in one area, and what makes that nice is, as she was working with the bride and getting some indoor pictures, I started with the tables. I started with the bridal tables, with the place settings, with the favors, and the guest book. And I was able to get all those shots that you need prior to the wedding starting. Normally you don't get that stuff until you get to the reception hall. So you try to beat feet to the reception hall to get those pictures. So yeah, you are very much on your feet for 6-7 hours at a wedding, and you're constantly working. And as I would hope you would, because I told her the more pictures you come home with, the better off your life is going to be. That's just the truth behind it, and that's wedding photography. That's the way it works. Especially in the digital age, if you come home with, I like to come home with 800 shots. Now the bride and groom will see about 400 of those, because you're not going to use everything. But it's better to have too much than not enough. You don't want to get home and say, wow, I wished I would have took a picture of the wedding rings. Too late. That's over. So, well, with that said, that's my little spiel there for a whole big old 3 minutes. We're going to go ahead and look at a piece of gear that I use for wedding photography that is very, very important. Well, When I first started shooting weddings, I didn't use this piece of equipment, and I even told my wife, I said, we probably don't need one of those. That's too much stuff to carry around. It doesn't make sense to have that. But now after using it at weddings and seeing the end results, it's a must-have piece of gear if you're shooting portrait photography by hand and you're walking around, which you're very mobile at weddings, birthday parties, any of that kind of stuff. So, and you get these in a lot of price ranges. I tend to go a little bit overboard because when I'm shooting a wedding, I need the very best equipment I can find. And I tested a few of these things out, but let me just close this down for now so we can take a look at this. Lost that mouse altogether there. Just want to make sure I got the proper mouse here. There we go. Okay. Now, what this piece of equipment is, it's called a flip flash. There's many, many variations of this. Again, it's called flip flash, a flip flash, or some people call it a flash bracket. There's a couple names for it. This one I happen to find, I found this, and I will put this, and I'm trying to show you the new website if you guys didn't already see it, but I found this one on the internet before B&H Photo came up with, I don't know if they saw the exact one or if they saw a knockoff of this, but it's the ALZO Digital. ALZO Digital. Comes in a really nice case, and this is one of the most solid flip flashes or flash brackets I have ever found. I'm going to show you how it works. You guys know how I love show and tell. That's why it's Photography Weekly. Okay. Get my mouse out of the way here so I can show you this. So like I said, it comes in a really nice case. It comes with a nice mount here. Now what this is, it's really interesting because this is an umbrella mount. I'm going to try to flip this other camera here so we can look at some of these parts as I pull them out. Right here. Now this, as you see, has never been out of the bag. I don't use it. It is an umbrella mount. And what that's for is you'll put this on top of the flip flash or the flash bracket, and then you can put a umbrella, which comes with it, and you put the umbrella in there to shoot your flash into as a reflector, right? We know about lighting. That's what we do with this thing. So, of course, like I said, I've never used it. Now, with that said, and we're spilling coffee on the desk, not a good thing. With that said, let's go back to the other camera here. I don't know why I keep picking that camera out. There's nothing there anymore. Okay. All right. Now I don't want to get that over the camera gear. I tell you, live TV. That's the way it works, guys. Now this piece is the piece that the camera will go onto, and I'm going to hook the camera up to this and show you how it works. That flash mount I showed you for the umbrella goes on this piece. This is why I like this one. It has a extendable bar here for your flash. So what that means is, and people say, Jack, my flash goes around top of my camera. Sure it does. But what happens is when you take that camera and you do a portrait shot, you turn it this way, what happens is with the camera, when you're turning it up on angle, the flash has more chance for reflection. And I've seen this a lot when we started doing weddings. When you're in a church, the bride is walking towards you with her father, or someone is giving her away. She's walking towards you. What happens is when you turn that camera sideways to get a nice portrait of them, and you hit it, you'll have this big actual in the background, a big shadow. So there'll be a big shadow on the back wall because most churches are white. That's just the way they paint them. That's what you got to deal with. And the lighting in churches are very dim. I don't know if they do that. They do that basically to mess with photographers. I do believe that over the years. I think that's what they've done. So this is how it looks. We're going to leave that up just a little bit. This part flips out. So now that's why they call it a flip flash or a flash bracket. Flash goes up on top, and I'll show you that. Flip because this piece here flips back and forth. This is our landscape mode. Take some pictures. Click, 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 click. You're holding it by the handle, so you got your flash on top all the time. The flash is always pointing one way. When you're ready to go and grab a nice portrait, flip it up, lock it over, click, 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 click. The flash is still nice and in the same position above the lens at all times, so you don't get those constant shadows. Let's go ahead here. And we will take this off. This is your mount, just like it would be for any other camera, like any tripod. You would take this and mount it to the camera. Here's the camera. It's like one of those cooking shows, huh? Here it is, pulled out of the oven. Alright. You do need to have a screwdriver handy when you do this, so make sure you take a screwdriver in your camera bag if you buy one of these things. That's because the screw is more flush mount than normal. I'll try to show you that too. I like to show you guys stuff. That's what we do here. You can see here where that screw is more like flush mount. So that is how it looks at that point. Okay, the next thing we need to do is we need to mount our flash. Now, being the flash is above, it can't sit on the hot shoe. So you have to buy another gizmo. You know, I like gizmos. My wife knows I like gizmos. This is actually called a flash cord. Go figure, that's what it does. Mine has kind of been wrapped around a few things. I've used this on tripods, I've used this everywhere. What makes a flash cord nice, if you buy a flash, and you have to buy yourself a flash. I tried doing a wedding one time years ago without a flash, thinking, why do you need all that gear for you? You need a flash. And you need a diffuser on the top. Just this little piece of plastic. These sell on B&H for like $22. And the same thing sells on eBay for $4 brand new. I suggest buy it on eBay. It just goes right on top of your flash. You buy it for a particular flash that you own. This happens to be an SB600 Nikon flash. I shoot Nikon, whatever you guys shoot. This is why this is really important on the with the camera cord here, with the cable. This camera cord, and the reason it's stretched out is because it will do TTL. I don't know if you're familiar with TTL, but it's called through the lens. So, you've probably heard of it before, or maybe you did passing or something. Now, most point and shoot cameras will not have this, but a DSLR will definitely have it. It's called TTL metering, through the lens metering. So the camera, these new cameras, either Nikon, and I know Canon has a form of TTL, and I'm sure Olympus probably does also. But when you hook this up and you use a cable, make sure you buy a cable that's TTL certified, so that way you're getting that feature. And I'm going to show you this, but the flash will be up on top, and through the lens is through the lens metering. So you got to take that picture. You don't got to say, oh wait, get a light meter, take a reading. Oh, I got to be f1.25 or f22. I got to be at 1/125th of a second for my shutter. You don't need to do that. Through the lens metering, or TTL metering, is just that, folks. The camera is going to meter the needed exposure. So this flash will give off just the right amount of light. And last night, I think, and actually you get this at most weddings where, oh, excuse me. You get this at most weddings. You start getting everybody dancing and everything around or moving around, and they turn the lights out. And you're the photographer, and you're like, oh crap, how can I get a good picture? They turn the lights out. The one we did last night was outside. A little dark outside. And the flash photography that we had to do was It was just sensational. It's not because of my great abilities and talents. It's because of through the lens metering, and the camera and the flash knew what to do when I was shooting the pictures. I didn't have to worry about it. I try not to drink anything when I do these because I get emails that, Jack, why do you drink coffee when you do your videos? It's live. You can only talk so much. All right. Now with this one, this little baby goes right on top of here, just like this. You screw it down. The cable itself, there's a little screw right under here, right on the bottom. And it just screws into the cable itself on top. The cable has a hot shoe mount on it. I'm going to slide the camera on here first. Once you get the camera on, there's a screw mount on the bottom. We're going to screw that down nice and tight. Just like that. Okay. Could probably slide in just a little bit more maybe. And you'll get used to that. The more you use this thing, the more you'll get used to it. This is another reason why my cable gets really, really wore out. Like I said, one I use on tripods because I use through the lens metering whenever I can. The only way to do it off without a cable, and we're going to look at those too, planning on getting a set, it's called Pocket Wizard. Pocket Wizard will do TTL. It's going to set you back a lot more money. This cable's $30. Pocket Wizard's about $400. That locks right into the hot shoe. Again, let me try to bring this camera up over here and not hit the microphone. You can see there with this locked right into the hot shoe. Goes here. The flash is going to go right on top here. This is where the flash is going to go right onto this hot shoe. Alright, flip back over here. This is our flash. Turn the flash on, which also when you're doing weddings or you're going out and you're using a lot of flash photography, take a lot of batteries. I'm glad I had 2 extra sets in my bag. We used them all. Well, you know, if the flash starts not firing up fast enough, change the batteries. Don't stand there, you're waiting for the bride to throw the bouquet and you're waiting for your flash to come up. You're thinking, God, I hope it would energize. Not a good time. Okay, so there was one, but now look, now we can take this camera, and we have it now in the landscape mode. But if we take this now and we flip it to the portrait mode, look where the flash is. The flash stayed the same. And these flashes, you know, you can go down or up. I'm not going to blind you on the camera there, but we're going to show you here. So the flash stayed exactly the same. Trying to get rid of that. Okay. And that is how a flash bracket works. Does it get heavy? I could barely move my arm by the end of the night. Is it a necessity? Absolutely. It's positively a necessity to have a flash bracket, or as I said, it's also called a flip flash. In your arsenal, you need these things. This is a great tool to have. And this one, like I said, this is probably one of the best ones I have. If you look at B&H, there's a couple manual ones, but read them closely. If it comes with something called I think it's called a silicone or a stick spray or something, don't buy it. They're a mess. You have to spray the pad before you screw it to your camera. Guess what happens? The bottom of your camera is all sticky and it's nasty. It's very hard. You can get it off. We use that Goob-Gon or Goob-Gon or whatever my wife calls it. And you can get it off. But it's a mess. It's a mess. Another thing I didn't like about some of those with the cork pads, you screw the cork pad into the camera, you turn it this way, the camera starts to do this. The camera literally starts to shift forward. You have to keep pulling the camera up and hitting the button, pulling the camera. You look like a joker at the wedding instead of the photographer. You know, so again, not another great scenario. Like I said, this one is one of the best ones I found. I've used, this is my 4th one. So I'm not an expert on them, but this is just what I use. And this one I think maybe set me back maybe $70. So it's not a big expense. And don't forget, this part comes with it that can go on here, and the umbrella comes with it, so you can put your flash here and shoot it into an umbrella. It's a real small umbrella. And probably before, when I was setting up for the show, I should have maybe picked that out of my pile of umbrellas and brought that over to show you, but I did not. But yeah, if you don't have a flash, make sure you look for the Nikon owners out there or the Canon owners. Buy the flash that goes with your camera. Don't try to save money buying a generic flash. It's not a good idea, because you want the TTL metering. That's so important. Anytime you're doing portrait work, you want the exact amount of exposure and exact amount of light. Right now I'm in the market for another I'll probably be buying the SB700 because they don't sell the 600 anymore, and have 2 flashes. And that could be a whole nother show talking about A and B channels. The camera can actually fire the flashes wirelessly without any cable, just the way it is stock. When you buy a Nikon, they'll come with that. It's called command mode, and you can fire these flashes wirelessly. So, but again, at that point, I'm not sure and have to read up on that. I'm not sure if you get the TTL with that or not. But if not, the Pocket Wizards are what you want. That's definitely in my B&H wish list, is a Pocket Wizard. All right. Let me set this thing aside here. Case back there. Everything's turned off. Nope, the camera is not off. Let's put a lens cap on, just to kind of protect that. Get this out of my way. The phone line is open this morning. You can Skype me at Jack's Tech Corner. Or, if you want to, just pick up your cell phone and call me at 724-701-0911. Love to hear from you. Love to hear your questions. And I'm just going to go through the chat room here now with the questions there, just so we can keep up this morning. First, let me say good morning to everybody in there. Brian, Cheryl, Dan, David, Hugh, Jessica, June, Kevin, and Vicky. And to whoever else may be watching that's not in the chat room, good morning to you. And Kevin, now you asked, Jack, do you use your flip? Oh, do you flip your flash up so the L flash will bounce? That all depends. Now here's the general rule. We was doing an outside wedding yesterday. With an outside wedding, naturally there's nothing to bounce the flash off of. So I guess it's kind of, you have to think, where you're at. Because right after we left the ceremony, which was outside, like I said, I really can't wait to share some of those pictures with you folks. But right now, I just have that policy where the bride and groom have to see them first. Then I make them happy, then I share them with the world. That's not a problem after that. So the ceremony was outside. Then what happens is, after that, we walk over and we're in a big, huge white tent. Almost like you would see at a circus, I guess. Like a circuit tent or a party tent, maybe a better name for it. And I looked up and it is just beautiful, solid white tent. And I thought, wow, I can bounce off of this. And then I turned my flash up. Now, even with that on there, it does have a diffuser on it that takes that light and actually spreads it out anyway, just with that white piece on there. But still, if you don't have to shoot direct light into somebody where it's kind of darker, bounce it off of something. Here's the general rule, folks, with flash. As you can see my room here behind me, and with this camera, I still don't like this camera, but with this particular camera, it's not HD. The wall behind me is blue. If I sit my daughter in a portrait chair or in a stool, and I shoot my flash off that wall, I can literally turn her blue. It's pretty cool. I've done it. It looks neat. It'll be like really cool type of a cast or cool shadow. We talked about light temperature. Again, if I have a yellow wall in the room here. If I shoot off the yellow wall, it's going to give it a yellow tint. Watch what you're shooting off of. Guys, you don't want to be out there and shooting a bride all day, get home the next morning, or I mean that night, but I edit in the morning. Get those pictures on the computer and start looking and see her dress is blue or yellow or red. A lot of explaining to do, and that would be really tough. So I hope that never happens. And we also play around a little bit with white balance when I'm there. I don't custom white balance, and I should. I should custom white balance, but I don't. It's very time consuming, and it's hard when you're moving between different lights, different types of lights. So I hope that answered your question. Cheryl, so is TTL metering automatic, or do you have to go into the menu? TTL metering is automatic. You can go to manual metering, but basically when they sell you the camera, when it comes out of the box, it's set up already. And again, like I said, I know for sure it's on Canons. I owned a Canon once. I'm a big Nikon guy, so I know it's in the Nikon cameras. It's the camera I use. It's the camera I study. I'm not sure in the other ones, but I'm pretty sure in Sony's and all those other cameras, I'm pretty sure that they would probably have some form of TTL metering. So hopefully that answered everybody's questions. So next, what we're going to talk about, hopefully that gave you some answers to your questions out there, and at least gave you something new to put in your bag. Usually you guys give me new things that you want me to buy, and Mrs. Jack goes, "What are you doing? You did that show Sunday. What are you buying?" Now maybe your spouses or your family members will be going, "You watched that Jack, didn't you? What are you buying today?" Big order for flip flash is going out. Or if nothing, at least the off and on camera flash. And maybe one week I'll show you. I'll try to set the studio up here somehow where I can move around a little bit and show you how that command mode works on the Nikon. It's really cool. I can put a flash at somebody's feet, step back and take a picture with no cables. It's pretty neat to do that. So enough about flashes. We will move on here. First, we are going to well, I know what I first want to do here. I want to take a minute now, since we're 30 minutes in. We normally play our commercial shot. I am going to see if I can bring this up. Oops, I don't want that. Okay, there. Let me see if I can bring this up over there. Oh, yes, I did. There we go. What I wanted to tell you guys is I wanted to share this with you, and you might have seen it. I did a video here the other day where I was teaching on that video, and I wanted to bring to you the new website that I've been working on. Through the week and the evenings I come home, I've been working this, trying to get this website together for everybody to use. The old website, and I got a lot of nasty grams, I guess, a lot of nasty emails from people saying, "Jack, all you do on your website is sell your DVDs. That's trash." Well, okay, you guys know, and most of you guys watching this show has probably purchased the DVDs, so I'm not hitting you for any advertisement that way. But what I wanted to do with this site was clean it up and make it more useful for everybody to come here and to see things that you may need from the show. So the first thing is a little bit about me, talk about me there, which I may or may not have done before. But over here, which is neat, is show notes. And if you click on there, what I want to do here is, and it's not a word for word type thing for my shows. What I wanted to do here was just to give you a overview of what went on. Like here you have all the links that Jessica sent in Facebook for everybody, and I post them here just so they'll be there. At the very bottom each week will be the link directly to the YouTube show when I pull up on YouTube. Another thing here is called RSS feed. Now, what an RSS feed is when I post this feed, because I upload these to iTunes, so that's where this feed comes from. And you can click on here and you can go out and see it also. Like I said, DVD collections, I'm not going to bother you with that. The current show will be this week's show. So this is actually week 22, so this is last week's show. Once I get this one together and put on YouTube, I'll put this week's up there. Our Flickr group, Kevin may recognize this picture right away. Maybe. Where's he at? There he is right there. So, this is Kevin and his son with their mighty trout there. Mighty nice trout. So, if if you join our Flickr group and post your pictures, this slideshow is pulling from those pictures, is what I wanted to do. So that way this showcases everybody's work. And then at the end here, we have the live show. So I wanted to show you that it is there. And with that said, let's go back here. We are going to go into our 58-second commercial. This is time for you to go get your cup of coffee or whatever else you may need to grab. Soda. What time is it? 10:30 here, and I know a lot of you guys are in other countries. Go grab a beer, a glass of wine, and return in 58 seconds. So here we go. Green Screen Wizard for all your green screening needs. From standalone software to plugins to the green screens themselves. Ken is the man you want to go to. Longtime photographer and programmer, Ken has pulled both of his talents together to create the easiest green screen processes. And one hosting services. Do you need a personal website, or do you have a business looking for a company with dependability and support, yet at a reasonable cost, not to break the bank? One does it all. Websites, domain names, email services, and even remote servers. To order any of these products, go to my website, jackstechcorner.com, and click on the graphics on the left side of the page. Now, back to learning. Okay, now as that was going on there, I was reading the chat room, and I see that Kevin and his son. Oh, that's your friend. I'm sorry. What the heck? Why did I think it must have been the ball cap? I got you guys confused. Anyway, that is your friend and his son. Sorry about that, dude. I don't usually make those mistakes. So, thanks, Jessica. You enjoyed the new site. That's good. That'll get things moving around. Just looking up here through the chat room once again, like I like to do. Kevin. Okay. Yeah, Kevin, you should have a flash for your camera. If you have a hot shoe, it's worth buying a flash, because you can take that flash also. You're going to save your time in ever removing red eye. Because if you can flip that flash up, it doesn't go directly into the eye. You won't get the red eye. Jessica, you've been thinking about getting one, but so many other fun things I want. Yeah, I understand that. There's a lot of fun things you may want to buy. You said the new site looks good. Dan, you liked it too? Great. Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. Just trying to get it more useful for everybody. And Jessica's not yet joined Flickr. Please join Flickr. It is free. It's very, very much a free site to join. And I mean, I have the pro account, but what I honestly like it for is backing up my pictures somewhere, because when you put them there, they're just there. Okay, Cheryl. Yes, Cheryl, you actually go into groups, look for groups on Flickr, and type in Jack's Tech Corner, and you'll find us. It's a group. You join the group. I don't think I have to prove it or anything. You just join it, and then you can start posting and sharing your pictures with the group. That's how you would do that. So, the next thing that I want to talk about, or look at here, we want to talk a little bit about batch processing. Why is that important? Why is it a good idea for everyone? Or is it just something for a few of people out there that may need it? Now, yesterday, remember, we shot about 800 pictures. Now, out of that 800 pictures, you're going to save 4, maybe 500 shots that you may or may not want to use. And don't let that scare you away. I know a lot of you guys got married. I know when we got married, I was looking at our wedding pictures the other day. We may have 110. I don't know, something like that. Some weird number. But when you're a photographer at a wedding, you need stuff like anything the bride and groom's name is on, you need, but you may not print that. They don't want to buy that. But you need it because if they want you to help them with or find a picture, help them design a thank you card, you want to use one of those pictures. That makes it really nice. Like how many pictures of the cake do you really need? You know what I mean? So there's just different things that they may not want to buy that you want to keep. Because even when you design a book, I know we talked about Jessica last week when she was doing scrapbooking. We talked about a photo book for weddings, and those are hot. Everybody wants a photo book. Can I get a photo book? Sure. You want those little pieces in there so you can edit them with other pictures. So it's important to have that. But once you get that 400 pictures down and you want to do something to it, such as a lot of us like to do, is we like to watermark. And that's what I'm big on, because I want to put proof on everything I put on the internet. I put the word proof right in the middle of it. Why? Because you don't want somebody right-clicking that. And somebody emailed me the other day and said, Jack, people right-click my pictures and steal them. You don't want that to happen. And I know you're saying, well, it makes it look like crap. Okay. You're showing somebody a proof. You're showing somebody, look at the picture you could buy. If not, why don't you just put in a little bottom in the corner and say, please go ahead and download this and just edit this corner out. You can crop it and take this off. Just put that on the picture. I'm just being real. I've been doing this a long, long time, and I want to save you guys the heartache that I've been through. Where I did a wedding one time, and the bride and groom downloaded every picture and didn't buy anything. So, and that happens. I mean, if you leave them up there. So put proof on whatever you want to have out there, what you want people to buy. So we are going to take a look at that. And let me get into my Photoshop here. Maybe I'll open up some pictures first. Might be a good idea. So bear with me here. We are going to jump back onto the laptop and have a look at these. Just trying to keep up with some of the chat room also. Yeah, Jessica's casting problem with that cast she had on there. With the underwater camera being outside. I didn't realize. I thought an underwater camera would work fine anywhere. But sometimes Jessica giving a 12-year-old a camera can teach them also. You know how that goes. They can learn. And the white balance correction really worked. That's great. That's great that somebody brought that up to use the white balance correction. Okay. Again, just keeping up with the chat room there. Now we're going to look for some pictures here real quick. Find something that we want to use without bothering you folks. There we go. We'll just go here. Cruise pictures are always good, right? Alright. I'm just going to grab a few shots here. Open those in external editor. And also, gang out there, if anybody knows, I did a YouTube video a while back, and it was about contact sheets, making contact sheets. And I had a interesting email the other day that said, Jack, I don't want to open all of my photos, 500 pictures in the editor to make a contact sheet, which is relatively understood by me. I know what the guy's talking about. My question to you guys out there, has anybody done it from the organizer? That would be my question. So I'm putting that one back out to you guys so you can tell me if you've done it through the organizer. Because contact sheets are definitely in the editor. I was thinking out here. Okay, Kevin, yeah, you're right. You asked about the green screen. It stayed in the car. It stayed in the car. We didn't have time to get it out to do any fun pictures. We were busy from 2 o'clock until roughly, I don't know what it was last night, 9, 10 o'clock, something like that. We were pretty busy. It is nice. If you have somebody else, I went to a wedding show, and actually some folks was, the new thing at weddings people like to do, and maybe you guys already heard this, it was new to me, is for somebody to bring a photo booth. And they say they make a ton of money with a photo booth. You set it up, people go and sit, and they smile. Just like at the mall. You get them little strip pictures, and they made a ton of money with photo booths. So I was kind of thinking that with the green screen, because I know, Kevin, you do a lot of work with green screens. Take some pictures and make some really nice backgrounds for people, but we didn't do that. Jessica, yeah, photo booth, right? So people do that. And I missed, what did you do on Walgreens.com? Just throw that in the chat room here. I'll watch. I know there's a little delay between the audio and the chat room, so I'll watch that as we go on here. I have to start bringing 2 cups of coffee for this show. Oh, contact sheet. Okay. Maybe I'll go there and do it there instead. I guess it would be relatively faster to do it there. Okay. And you're right, it's just a set of small pictures on one sheet. I'd like to make those big enough so people can see them, as long as I can resize those. Not the little thumbnail picture, you know, you don't want it too small, especially when you're selling. If you're using that as a proofing sheet, you want to make sure people can see them to proof it. You don't want to have to hand them a magnifying glass when you hand them the contact sheets. Clients don't seem to like that. Okay, here we go back on my laptop. What we're going to talk about now is we're going to talk about some batch processing. Because I know a lot of you guys out there handle a lot of photos, and it gets very time consuming, even with the really cool signature brush that somebody taught me about. I don't know when that was. I'm just kidding, guys. But the signature brush is great. How we put our signature on there, we can stamp, 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 stamp. It's really cool. It saves a lot of time. But to watermark, especially when you're going to do 500 pictures, again, open the 500 pictures, so just open the album in the editor. They're going to all be opened in the editor. You can do it that way. Or, the way I really like to do it is take all those pictures and put them in a folder. Now, that folder is going to be your source folder. So what we're going to do here is I have these pictures right here. And actually, we're going to go back into iPhoto. I have them selected here. We are going to go to File. Now again, you can do this in the organizer too. Go to Export. This just happens to be a Mac, so it's iPhoto. Now, anytime you're working with any pictures, again, this is iPhoto, but even in the Elements Organizer, make sure you export at maximum. You want it to be the largest file size you can possibly get, because you don't want to lose any data. You don't want it compressing when it's doing this. I'm going to just leave it at medium. This is a demonstration. We're going to hit Export. On my desktop, I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm just going to call this batch. Create. And then I'm going to put a folder in here called Source. And that's where I'm going to export my pictures to. So there you go. They're gone. Let's minimize this. Minimize this. Minimize this. Minimize that one. Now here's my batch folder. In your batch folder, you're going to need one more folder in here, and we'll call that Final. Just like so. Now, when you go under File in your editor, in your Photoshop Elements editor, and go to Process Multiple Files, There you go. You can process files from a folder, which we're going to do. I find that to be easier when you have thousands of pictures. You can do open files, which we have in the editor right now. We have open files. We can do that. We can import files from somewhere else or from Bridge. Now, everybody knows of Photoshop Elements with the Mac a long time ago came with a program called Bridge, and that's the program to organize that Photoshop comes with. They have since figured out that sometimes Adobe is a little slower than most people out there, and it's funny because I've been teaching this for years, and I buy the program just like you guys do, so I don't get any special discounts or anything. And it's funny how often they think, well, the Windows people probably don't use Macs, so why should we sell them the same program? I think that's what they're thinking. Or it could be this. Apple's saying, look, iPhoto's a great organizer. Why do you guys got to ruin that and put yours on there? You're not allowed. You could write your editing software for the Mac, but you're not allowed to put an organizer on. But now, either way, whatever way that worked out, we do have the organizer now on the Mac, just like you have now on Windows. So on both sides of the fence, it's the same. So let's go ahead and pick out our source. Let me try to blow this up just a little bit. There, hopefully that worked out a little bit better. Pick out our source. We're going to browse, and now we are going to look for batch and source. That's where I put those pictures at. Choose. Now, the reason I made a final folder is right here for destination. Where do you want them to go when it's done? Click on batch, click on final. That's where we want them to go once we're done processing our files. Now, I've done this quite a few times. I've messed up quite a few times because that is how you learn. Don't let that bother you. Down here, make sure you select Convert Images to JPEG High Quality. If you do not, for some reason, they think that you want to make some JPEG low qualities. Maybe for posting on the web or whatever. So check High Quality. Now, with that said, the next thing we want to do, now you could do all this stuff when you're batch processing. You can do auto levels if you trust Elements, auto contrast, auto color, or sharpen. I love Elements. You guys know I've been teaching it a long time. I don't trust it for any of that when I'm doing wedding photography, again, for clients. These people are paying me to do a job. They didn't pay Adobe to guess. They're paying me to do a quality job. So I look at each individual picture by themselves and I decide what they need. So that's how it works. You can use these, if it's something not, if you're shooting, let's just do this. You took a bunch of pictures at the family reunion and you find the exposures are not that great. Maybe you want to do some auto levels and let Elements level it up a little bit and clean that picture up for you. That's fine. Here where it says labels, you pull this down, you can do a caption or a watermark. We are going to watermark our pictures. That's what we want to do. The watermark text, I use the word proof. I just put proof in there. Position, you can do right or bottom left, bottom right, or we can do centered. I center it. I want it smack on the picture is where I want it. Font, that's up to you to change it. Opacity 50. Nah, run it up to about 75. You want people to see if they take that picture to Walgreens or Walmart or any processing place, you want that person to see your word proof on there. You don't want any guesses. And the color, it's black here. I either use black or white. So you can use either one. We're going to leave it set to black. Once we do that, everything looks good. Click OK. And at that point, it's processing those pictures. It's adding the word proof. And we will now put my screen back to normal size. Minimize this. Open up Final. Here's our pictures right here, our 4 pictures we were playing with. And if I open them with Preview, you can now see dead center. The word proof is watermarked in that. So you can still see that picture. You can still see what it is. You can see its boats and everything, but nobody's going to print it with that word proof stuck right in the middle, and you're not going to crop that off. So that's not going to happen. So that is how we do batch processing very easily. Save you guys a ton of time, and play around with it. There's a lot you can do with batch processing. I also use batch processing sometimes for changing the name. I don't really like all my pictures being named. I think the Nikon names them DSC or DCS, something of that lines. I don't really like them being named that. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll rename the whole entire batch of pictures, and I rename them to something to do with the wedding party. So that's what I normally do with those. Okay, now would be another great time with the end of that. If you have any questions here that is not in the chat room, now's another great time here for a phone call. You can call us at 724-701-0911. Love to hear from you. Now, I'm going back through here and reading some of the chat rooms at this time. That's what we like to do. Keep up on the chat room. Okay, so Walgreens will let you do it with your order. So if you do an order, they'll actually give you a contact sheet. I'll do it for your order. Okay, now the only problem with that is, Jessica, is I need a contact sheet before I place an order. I use a contact sheet as proofs, so I use that before I do the ordering. And you need to find a signature brush. You've been watching these videos for a long time, and you haven't seen my signature brush video? Oh, okay, you need to make one again. So you did see it before, but you need to follow it again to do another one. That's okay. I understand. Okay, Jessica, we'll see. You got to head out. Catch the rest of it later on. You're off to work on a Sunday. No way. Tell them no. Just say no. Yeah, the life of an engineer. You have a tough one. Let me tell you what. You and medical doctors. I don't know who runs more. Have a good one. Best of Sunday to you. Dan typically shoot all photos in RAW and batch them to DVD RAW as high quality JPEGs. Works like a charm. That is great. And Dan, do you do that with Photoshop Elements? If you want to throw that up in there, I'd like to know that. Great thing with this new camera. If anybody's seen my posts on Facebook, the new Nikon D7000 I purchased has two. I showed you guys, has 2 memory cards. That first one I put a 16 gigabyte SD card in. The second one I put a 8 gigabyte SD card in. The first one automatically captures raw images as the second one is recording JPEG fine. So I have 2 discs recording the same information, one in RAW, so you have that if you need it, and JPEG, which you can use most of the time and get away with just fine. So I found it to be very, very useful yesterday for the wedding shoot. I thought it was wonderful, and I didn't change discs at all, and I shot a lot of pictures with the same discs. So there you go. And unfortunately, for those of you, hopefully everybody just didn't stick around to see the HDR part of this. But I don't think we're going to get to the HDR part. And unfortunately, we may save that for next week, next Sunday. The one thing I can give you, since it's in the title, and we have a few minutes, and I don't generally rush, so I'll give you a few items here since it's in the title for next week. This is what I want you to do then. This will be your assignment for next week. For HDR photography, or high dynamic range photography, what I want you to do is, first, get this out of my face. There we go. I want you to take your camera outside with a tripod. Now wait, let me say that again, folks. Take your camera outside with a tripod. Now that that's said, if you have a DSLR camera or any other camera, just look at the settings. You're looking for something called bracketing. B-R-A-C-K-I-N-G, bracketing. Turn it on. My camera, it's very simple. I push a button on the side and I turn it down on the back, and I look and it says bracketing is on. And we're bracketing for exposure. So it'll probably say EV for exposure. Now, what you want to do with that is you're taking 3 pictures when you're bracketing. One's going to be underexposed, one's going to be perfectly exposed, and one's going to be overexposed. And in the end, what you do with these, and I found some really great tools to do this with, I'm going to share with you next week. That's why I want you to be ready for this. You'll take 3 pictures. That's why you need a tripod, because it's going to take those 3 pictures and it will align those 3 pictures together. So it's going to pull them together, just like layers. It's going to lay them on top of each other, so they have to be exact. If you're taking them by hand, you click and you move a quarter of a centimeter. Click. You move a quarter of a centimeter. Click. You're going to have what I refer to as a very blurry or a bozoed picture, is what I call it. So I tell the kids, why did you take a bozo picture? There, that's your word for the day. So you'll have these 3 pictures put together, and we are going to work with those pictures next week. So I want you to go out and take your pictures. I know all you guys are going to do this assignment. It could be of anything. Basically, though, it works the best with landscapes, but I've done it in the studio, taking a picture of a tripod. So, and I played with it with exposure, and I've done this already, this HDR, so it's cool. So there you go, folks. That is your assignment for next week. Hopefully everybody can get those together and ready to go. And then when I do that segment, you can work along with me and actually be able to do these pictures with me here and build a high dynamic range picture. So hopefully that's it, and that's going to work it out for this Sunday. And so I'm going to go ahead and close this one out once I bring back up my notes here. Okay, folks, well, thank you very much once again for checking in here on a live show with Jack's Tech Corner. And I hope to bring you another live show next week at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. That's 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, again, thanks for watching Photography Weekly. This was episode number 23, and I'll see you back here next week on Jack's Tech Corner. Until then, keep those shutters clicking, keep all your editors editing, and don't forget the assignment. Take 3 bracketed pictures. Take an overexposed, a regular picture, and slightly underexposed. So even if you don't have bracketing, just set your exposure, and you'll be able to do the assignment with us. We'll see you then. Take care, and bye for now.